guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay, and in this video we're going to be doing another plan with me. So I know it's been a hot minute since I've done a video, and I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't think I would take a month off. It was definitely not planned. It wasn't intentional or anything like that. So I feel really sorry. But I wanted to come back into it and start doing videos again. It feels kind of weird, but I still feel pretty excited to do this voiceover, even though I don't really have a lot to say like I always do. But this time around, I wanted to do my theme for September very relaxing, and I don't know, I feel like everybody has their own idea of what relaxation is, and honestly, I kind of just went with something super simple and ended up doing junk journaling just because I wasn't really in the right headspace to do any drawing, any doodling, nothing of the sort. And so if you guys haven't known, I'm a big fan of PaperMintyStudios, and I really like Nani's monthly kits that she comes out with. So the monthly kits are something that she designs herself, and pretty much there's two different options you can do, but I always go with the premium box because I love her washi tape and I'm a sucker for them. And it kind of is a shame that I can't just go and buy the washi tape anymore. I can only really get it in these monthly kits, but that's okay because I still love all her products. So I actually ended up using her newest monthly kit, and I believe this one was for August, but I still went ahead and did it for September. Her whole idea was field notes, and to me, when I think of field notes, I think of, you know, sunset, middle of the summer, cicadas in the air, and you know, you're sitting down probably reading a book or drawing in your journal. I don't know, it just gives me like Studio Ghibli vibes, at least in my head it does. So I kind of really wanted to make that my theme because I just feel like it's just very relaxing. I don't know, for me, I always find comfort in like anime, manga, Studio Ghibli movies, for example. So this theme was kind of definitely something that will help me kind of recenter myself and kind of restart. So I wanted to go super simple and ended up using this vellum, which I really am not the best in terms of like utilizing it, but I really liked the floral pattern, so I used that as my background, and then I just used a yellow orangey, I guess, gingham pattern sticky note and some craft paper. I just very delicately decorated around the title border that I was doing with some, you know, stickers, some pep tape, and surprisingly enough, with my purchase for the monthly kit, I thought I got it on time. Like, I went onto the website when she just released it, but by the time I went, all her like pep tape or like the washi stickers, it's something like of the sort. I wanted to get the matte finish, and the matte was actually sold out, and they only had like the washi paper. I'm kind of glad that I still got the box, but I would have preferred the matte, so I had to kind of work with that. So I just kept everything pretty simple, but I always make mistakes, and I ended up stamping the letter E upside down, and I ended up making it like a motif throughout the entire spread because I just didn't want my title to be that one random mistake that I did, but it wouldn't be me without doing it. I thought it would be pretty cool to show you guys pretty much the process or how I kind of create my spreads without it being already pre-sketched. Like I said, this month I really just went ahead and went with wherever my pen took me. I just haven't really been in a good creative space in the last, I would say, 2-3 months. I've had a lot of changes go on in my personal life, and I don't really talk too much about my personal life here on YouTube because I don't know, I just find it a little bit weird. But since you guys are my friends, I do feel bad that I did take some time off to kind of take care of myself, so to speak. So if you guys are wondering, the real reason why I needed to take some time was because a family member really close to me did unfortunately pass away. And it was pretty hard. I am still trying to cope in a way. I'm doing pretty well now, but it's definitely not easy, and I wanted to kind of keep myself busy and escape the realm of everything, and I kind of used my bullet journal to do that. It's very weird because I've never really understood other people's, other people explaining how their bullet journal was a representation of where their mind is. And I've now seen that. For the last 3 months, felt like I abandoned my journal. I didn't really use it. I didn't want to use it, and I left a lot of things blank, I'll be quite honest. So it was pretty nice to go back into my journal and let the creative juices just flow and be lost in the process. So I was pretty excited to do this theme. Now, I was working with very limited supplies just because I did not know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have fun with it, and I really liked the fact that that was my big takeaway for me personally. That's why I went really carefree. I wasn't too obsessed, or I wasn't too stressed over, did I need this? Do I need this layout? Should I incorporate this in my spread? I just kind of winged it. And it's very weird because usually in September I have so many great ideas that the summer is pretty okay for me, but something about the start of autumn just brings so much joy because I just feel like I have way too many ideas, way too many themes, way too many things that I want to do, but I feel good about it. It's so weird. I don't know if you guys can relate because I always feel that there is a particular what is it they call it? Like a method to your madness. And boy, do I have a method because I just go very on the whim. In my personal life, I always talk about I like to plan ahead, I like to think further into the future, but in my bullet journal, it never really works that way. And it's just chaotic like me. But it's kind of my safe space. And it's very weird. I've been bullet journaling for about 3 years now. And it's crazy how far my mentality in regards to bullet journaling and the bullet journaling community has kind of went from 2020 to now. It's changed so much that it just leaves me in such a shock that I kind of owe it to bullet journaling. I don't mean to get so philosophical or gushy about this on my channel or in this video, but I feel like coming back, this is like my therapy session with you guys, just because I usually talk a little bit about myself here and there in regards to what's really going on, but at times I don't, just because I'm one of those that I like to internalize a lot. And I'm trying to work better on that because sometimes internalizing can really be unhealthy, and sometimes we have to learn to be more kinder to ourselves. So definitely this month I want to make that a priority for me personally, and maybe for you guys too. But since I kind of went on this like therapeutic tangent, we'll go back to the spread. So pretty much I kept a very loose layout for my calendar, and I really played with a lot of white space or negative space just because I didn't want the area to be like too cluttered, too overwhelming, but still create this like junk journal aesthetic. So I actually ended up using the Archer&Olive, I guess like brush pen set. It's not the acrylic graph pens. It's actually almost like Tombow Frunowsky like marker pens. And I'm really surprised. I ended up getting it in one of their like monthly kits that I bought for like their summer sale, and I really love these things. And I only used it once in this layout. Well, I used it several times, but I only used it in this particular setting, and I really like it. I might have to get more, and I think they might be better than the Tombow markers. It's crazy. I still have a lot to experiment with, but they are definitely more on the water-based side of the marker land. So I'll say be careful if you do make mistakes on it, because if you do use a white gel pen or even like a white pen, like paint pen, it will definitely bleed a little bit. So that's my only take from that. But overall, I really do love it. So yeah, now we're on to my habits and my playlist. So again, I usually have a very set structure for these two layouts because I just don't find any reason to change how I kind of lay these things, because to me, I feel like I am a big believer of if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I just find a hard time trying to steer away from changing what works best. But I still try to incorporate the junk journaling aesthetic. So I used a lot of stickers, washi tape, stamps. I was very hesitant to use stamps because I just didn't want to go too crazy with everything. But as I kept progressing throughout my layout, it was just looking more and more, I don't know, like cute, because I am not the best when it comes to junk journaling. I've always said that. I feel like there's definitely people who do it better out there on the internet, and I wish I could be like them. One of them being like Mochi Bujo. Hera does such a great style of junk journaling, and also mixing it in with her own art style that I wish I can do, but definitely I gotta take baby steps. And considering how I was junk journaling last August till now, I feel like I've improved. So definitely A for effort on that. But I'm still trying to figure out what works best. And there's definitely a few things that I've learned that helps give it more of a collage look. So I've always said that having different types of shapes really helps the layout of things. So if you have like a lot of square stuff, add something with some roundness to kind of contrast. Or if you have like a harsh edge, probably put like a sticker on top of that edge, and it just basically helps the layering aesthetic. I don't know how to describe it any better than that because my descriptions are always horrendous, but I felt like that was the best way I could do that. But again, like I said, my habit tracker, I just kept the same. I'm only keeping track of 4 habits this month because I am actually doing a couple different changes in my life, so I don't want to be too overwhelmed with keeping track of trackers and not making it a big priority to keep track of it. And I don't know how many times I've said track in that whole like setup, but pretty much I'm keeping it very simple. But I'm pretty much keeping it simple and not to overdo it, because I feel like sometimes bullet journaling, we kind of get lost in the sauce in terms of we need a lot of this, we need a lot of that, and to make it super extra, super over the top, and kind of not make it functional at that point. It's like too overwhelming. and it's like you just want to flip the page and pretend it doesn't exist, because I can definitely raise my hand and say I've done that a few times and found myself in that particular spot more than enough times. I always feel like my playlists are my favorite spreads out of the entire setup, and this one definitely is up there because it's weird. The last like 3 months I haven't really been listening to music, so even though I create these playlists, they actually still go unfilled. It's like mind-blowing that I think about it, but it's true. Like, I haven't really been putting any of my favorite songs, let alone listen to anything. This time around I actually started listening to music again, but listening to things that I truly like to kind of help with what's been going on. And so I definitely kept it within the realm of K-pop. I can say this time and time again, I will always be a K-pop fan in my heart. That's never gonna change. So I just kept it very simple. I was definitely at this point on autopilot because I was just filling things as I saw fit and went with it. It's very weird, but I loved how it eventually turned out because, like I said, this ended up being my favorite out of everything. But because the heading was so huge, took up like almost half the page, I didn't want to go super crazy on like the number of songs for my playlist. So I actually decided not to print out any of the music albums for several reasons. And one of them was definitely because I was lazy. I was definitely so lazy. But also because I just didn't want to stop recording to go print out the photo album. So I guess, yeah, laziness again. But I wanted to play with more of like the sticker sets in this kit. So I ended up playing with changing like the position of the stickers and using the stickers themselves almost as if they are the music album. Now I know that they don't necessarily look like it, but it just, I don't know, it just went with the vibe, and the vibe definitely was well received because, like I said, at this point I just felt like the only way I could describe it is, you know that episode of SpongeBob when he has to write that essay and he's been procrastinating for so long that once he had that idea of like, I know what I'm gonna write, and he's there for hours and hours and hours, and all he wrote was the word "the." Yeah, that was me on autopilot. Like, I just kept going, and I just ended up loving the process and the result of it all. Now, I know comparing it to SpongeBob, definitely I didn't just write one word, but that's how I felt in the moment. I got lost, and I loved the fact that my brain went on this like adventure. I went and actually incorporated more of like that mustard yellow color because that was my favorite. Actually, the whole like pen set was my favorite, but at this point I noticed that this yellow mustardy color was definitely the accent that was like coming through the page. So instead of using the black pen, I just did the little play buttons in that color. I thought everything was fine, but then I was like, maybe I should do more. Let me add a little bit more pizzazz. So I ended up making these like little hash tick things, and it just, I don't know, it was like chef's kiss because it gave more almost of like that sewn crochet DIY type of aesthetic that played along with the junk journaling, and I loved it. So yeah, definitely that was my favorite spread for this month, and I can't believe it kind of just transpired from me just being on autopilot, which I find the most funniest thing in the world. At this point, we're doing the same exact thing, pretty much creating the header for my first weekly layout. So pretty much still use this like yellow orangey gingham sticky note with some craft paper. And at this point, I've used so much like tape that I ran out and had to use my other one. But yeah, I pretty much still went with the whole idea of not planning anything. So I really just went with the flow and focused more on layering and just utilizing what came in the kit. So I ended up using the same like pep tape, stamps, stickers, and just kind of figuring out what works the best. But for sure, I wanted to have a more free flow direction when it comes to how I want things to kind of go. So you really will see my thought process on where I want things to be. Should I add this? Should I take away this? And was just having pure fun at this point. Now, because I'm going to be having quite a bit of life changes this month, I was afraid to put in like a task section. I was not sure if I needed like an event section, needed a whole calendar. At that point, I was just in my brain, why don't I just use the spreads that I've already made? If I need a calendar, I'll go back to my calendar spread. If I need to do a task, I'll go back to my calendar spread because there's a task little section thing there. So I really just wanted to have a free flow concept. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know why I was struggling so much with this particular spread, because I think I was just intimidated by the sheer volume of space I had on the page. So I kind of regret the way I went about it, but at this point it ended up being okay for now. But I think as I go on, as the weeks go, I probably might have a different, approach to the whole thing. But that's the whole point of bullet journaling, is figuring out what works for you and what works for the practicality of things. Now, I really enjoyed how I laid things out, and I kind of just transferred that over to the weekly spread. Now, I really wanted to play with dimension. I wanted to play with texture, color, and incorporated more aesthetic. I don't know how to explain it, but it definitely worked on the field notes theme. Do you guys prefer more junk journaling, or do you guys actually like doodling and drawing in your bullet journals? I've always felt very partial to one side versus the other, but they both have their pros and same as their cons. I just always find that junk journaling definitely has the convenience of having everything there for yourself, versus drawing and doodling, you kind of have to creatively create drawings and bring your theme to life. But it does pave way to you doing whatever you want to do. And not saying you can't do that, junk journaling, but junk journaling, you kind of have to work your creativeness around something that's already pre-done. So I always found it hard to kind of find the balance between the two. And even though I really do love junk journaling, I find it more intimidating than having to come up with a monthly theme and draw it all out. Am I the only one that thinks that? I always feel like I try so hard to make junk journaling work, and I am getting better, but it still intimidates me. And for someone who's always done art for a majority of her life, it's very interesting to see how I still get intimidated by different ways of creating something with your mediums. I'm pretty okay with paint. I'm pretty okay with charcoal or pastels, color pencils even, but junk journaling out of everything, it still makes my brain itch. I don't know. Regardless, I still had fun with this junk journaling theme for my monthly setup, and it was a good warm-up to getting the creative juices kind of flowing again. And I actually can't wait for next month because I don't know, I feel the itch to start doodling and drawing again, and I can't wait to kind of get that going. And here's the final flip through. I just want to say thank you guys for being extremely understanding and patient. I know with me being gone for a month, it was not intended, but I'm just glad that I was able to get back into things because honestly, I just did not feel the same without being creative. And I don't know, do you guys feel the same way? But I'm so excited for what's to come next. So until next time, bye.